it is. You gotta do it.
Yeah,
it's your tagline. You don't want anybody to steal it.
I don't want anyone to
Because
steal
there's
it.
a lot of possibility for people that are also trying to make it.
Yeah.
Often tend to
not be original.
Yeah, maybe say something that doesn't belong to them.
Yeah. So you're saying we're live here, folks.
Yep, that's what I want. When I played with Mike Antonini and Tommy Vasella.
I played with Mike Antonini too.
With the Mets.
Yes. Kingsport. And I think Savannah. I don't know if you see this, Antonini.
I'll tell you, Mike Antonini, probably the last true curveball that I've seen. I mean, that thing was just disgusting.
I mean, I played with Mike when he was drafted, and I was younger, but I think I was in the organization maybe a year or two. Maybe not. Maybe we were the same draft. I can't remember what year he was drafted. Maybe 1 year after. I don't know. But yeah, we played together, and
he was so good.
Yeah, but later what was cool is seeing Mike pitch then, which, when you're playing as a young guy and just having a bunch of guys play with you, you don't realize like who's who.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of told who the prospects are.
Yeah.
So who got the big money, who's going to be your guy. And typically they weren't really on my team unless they were like a young international prospect, which is typically a position player. So seeing Mike then, and then he gets to the big leagues later on, and then I got to see him when he was with the Jackals.
Right.
And I got to watch him pitch.
Man, that guy
incredible.
But
just to see from start to finish, I mean, really fun to watch.
It goes back to, listen, the stuff is there. That's why we're there, right? We have the stuff. We have tools. What separates a lot of guys is, again, that mental mindset. And watching him pitch was so much fun. Was just, he didn't give a fuck who was at bat. He didn't care, and he wanted that ball. Listen, I played with a lot of guys, like James Leverton was one of those guys.
Man, James was nasty.
Like, it's fun to watch these guys and be like, give me that fucking ball. Like, I don't care what happens.
Yeah.
So it was fun. But Tommy Vasella was also just amazing. But Mike Antonini, when we played together, we talked about you because you used to always do, and we're live here, folks. So they loved it, but we used to do commentating as well, like in the game, and Tommy Vasella would also say, and we're back.
Yeah.
So,
I
mean, when he did it, like, I can't do it because, again, that's his, and I wouldn't steal it, but Tommy Vasella, and we're back. So it was always so funny because you need a hook.
Yeah, it's
hook.
Yeah,
that's your hook.
That's definitely my hook. I've had that hook for I don't know, man, at least 10 years, even maybe more.
Since I've known you.
It's funny because you mentioned a player like Antonini, and we start going into baseball like immediately. Details like watching him pitch, certain guys you play with, the Levertons. What's even more fascinating is I've always been this guy who can do voices, impressions, kind of like from high school with the Mets. When I was with the Mets, I would do impressions of some of the coaches. And some of these coaches' impressions have still stuck to this day with a couple guys who messaged me on Instagram. Like, you remember Ryan Malika from Rockland? Yeah. We never played together, but he knew what I did when we were in the clubhouse. And I think when he got there, I was getting released. We met each other playing against each other in indie ball. And he was like, I heard you did this thing with my coach was Bobby Floyd. So Bobby Floyd played with the Orioles with like Brooks Robinson. And he had this whole thing that he used to talk about. And he was my first manager, Gulf Coast League. I loved Bobby. Bobby was fucking awesome. But I started doing his voice. Yeah. And I got to spring training. I would do it with the Gulf Coast League and all that. And when I got to spring training, it started to spread out. And I started doing other guys, the roving hitting instructor, like just little things. One of our big main guys would come out, do the speeches, and he was from Puerto Rico, and how he had his twang and whatever, and how he would say it was just like, I started doing that. But I guess what I'm getting to is I've always been that person, but I never wanted to be that person who was just out there doing it. It just kind of happened.
Sure.
So I've always loved doing the broadcasting, the voices. I've been doing Mel Kiper since high school. I've been doing there was the Women's College World Series. I don't know if you remember watching those ones.
I watched, but I wouldn't remember.
Like I kind of started it with that, where there was the lady that would do the thing. She's like, "We're live here at the Women's College World Series, and here's Natasha Watley."
You sound like Cheryl Miller.
Yeah, does that sound like Cheryl? Yeah. Well, this person, her name is Beth Moen, and I used to do that because I used to watch those games. I used to watch the softball games all the time in the World Series, and I just remember specifically that. And here comes Natasha Watley, the All-American for the UCLA Bruins, as their top ranked. And it had that whole thing. So, anyways, getting back to where it was, I think when it really took off is I used to do that. But every time I got into a clubhouse, my numbers weren't there yet. Okay, I'd been released from the Mets. I'm now in indie ball. I went to Sussex. They folded. It was an odd situation. Now I'm in Jersey, the place that everybody gets picked up out of, at least the most in indie ball. And I'm nervous because I'm a younger guy in that clubhouse. So meeting you and being able to get that, hey, you're good here.
Right.
You can play but just be yourself, have a good time, to feel comfortable. I remember when I got into indie ball, I had older guys coming up trying to break me in as a rookie because I didn't really drink. I didn't go out and party. My numbers were what they were as a guy who was 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
So when I got the jersey, that really felt comfortable for me. And when it really, obviously with you, we have so many similarities, but at the time, our age gap is pretty up there. So we were doing announcing, we were doing heavyweights.
That's how I think so many guys take themselves way too seriously.
Right.
They forget how to have fun, or I don't know, but either way, I think so many guys take themselves seriously. To me, we're playing a sport that we're very good at, but we're getting paid to play this sport. Right. So I don't know, have fun. You know what I'm saying? So I remember spring training, you did Tony Perkis.
Yeah.
I died laughing.
You remember the movie Heavyweights with Ben Stiller? Was
just a classic movie. It goes back into the
all we have to
90s
do is decrease his food intake and increase his metabolic output.
There are movies in the 90s that you watch now and they don't hold up. But when I was growing up, they are they hold such a place in my heart.
Sure.
And that's Heavyweights, Angels in the Outfield, Little Giants, Rookie of the Year. I mean, you quote these movies all the time, but Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You watch these movies now, and you're like, man, it's not that good. But back then, it was
back then it was
the best movies. So I hadn't seen or heard of Tony Heavyweights in a long time, and he did it, and I was like, oh my god, that is the funniest thing. Yeah. And I think I was the only one dying laughing. So, but I think it's because people take themselves too seriously. Should I laugh? Right. Am I supposed to laugh? Am I not supposed to laugh? What am I supposed to do? Well, so then you got me who's laughing.
Fresh into indie ball. Maybe
so then I start laughing, then we start doing it, and then it starts to catch. And honestly, that's what builds camaraderie, right? That's what builds a clubhouse.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think even more so, we played 3 years together. We played against each other for a couple. Look, dude, when I first faced you, I didn't know where you were. I was like, what am I facing here? And then it was you see your numbers, you see what you did, your career resume, and that was only 2010. And I was like, God damn, this guy is nasty.
Well, it's funny, but I can see that from every angle. I get that all the time.
Sure.
I'm sure.
And again, this is a lot from what I was told as I got there.
Yeah, everybody does.
And I don't know. I don't look up and go, man, this guy's 6, 7, 8 years older than me, and I'm facing him, and I'm 20.
Well, forget that. I'm 5'7". So everybody's I remember when I first signed with the Rockies.
Yeah.
I remember you meet the people at the mini spring training. I never met some of these guys. First thing I hear from somebody is, "Oh, what are you, a thumber?" What?
Jesus
first
Christ.
off, you don't know me at all, but
well,
because I'm 5'7", that makes you think I'm a thumber.
Yeah.
So listen, you can take it two ways.
This is when you were in Jersey.
No, this is when I was with the Rockies.
Oh, with the Rockies.
This is day one of my professional career.
What are you,
a thumber?
But who gives a shit?
That's why people take them so seriously. But two things. You think I'm a thumber, so you can take that two ways. Yeah, I got drafted as a 5'7" thumber.
Yeah, which I'm sure that
there's
makes
so
sense.
many guys that can be a thumber. You think
Right.
I'm a thumber? No, I was drafted at 5'7" because at that time I was compared to another really short closer who threw absolute gas. But it was just like, so instead of me being like
Mike
defensive, I love Mike
Billy
Hampton.
Billy Wagner.
Yeah, Billy Wagner.
Yeah.
So, but you can take it like, no, I'm not a fucking thumber. I just laughed like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not. But with that being said, it stuck because I'm sure that's what everybody thought.
Yeah.
Especially when I was in indie ball.
Sure.
And I remember, indie ball, like the first couple of days of spring training, you're doing live BP. I remember Art Charles. Man,
fuck, dude.
Art Charles, absolute behemoth of a. He's just
yeah.
a mammoth of an individual.
I mean, what an impressive.
Oh my god!
Dude.
And by the way, I love his swing. Such a beautiful swing. So anyway, we're doing live BP. I gave the signal for a fastball, and I did most hitters. You guys are just tracking the first couple days.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Art Charles took an absolute G-hack. He came out of his shoes, and I don't have the screen.
Art is not a small guy by any means.
I didn't have the screen in front of me because I don't like the screen. I feel like I'm restricted with the screen.
Yeah.
So I'm letting them know, and he takes a G-hack. It was either going to go on top of the hill, right in my face, because I told him what's coming.
Yeah.
But I succeeded on that battle. But I mean, I think he was just trying to set the record straight. Like, he didn't care who I was. Not that I was anybody.
Right.
Like, but it was just like, oh my God. Listen, guys like Art Charles or Dunnigan. I remember when Dunnigan came in, nobody ever heard the ball off. The sound of the ball off his bat.
Well, I knew, dude. I
mean, it was a ground ball to second base, and the second baseman was like, oh.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance. That was a year after me, because I was traded, so I didn't get a chance to really be with Joe, except for like I keep tabs, I check up on it.
That was Antonini's year.
It was Antonini's year, but I didn't really
14.
see. I didn't 14. 14. I didn't really get to see them until I got hurt in Kansas City. I tore my labrum in my shoulder, and you guys had your Midwest trip.
Right.
If you remember that. I drove up to Sioux Falls, and we hung out. And that's where I got to see Antonini and some other guys. But that was the first time I had seen like Dunnigan.
Yeah.
And I was like, my God. And seeing the numbers, and also Zoe was there, Harris.
Yeah.
Zoe Harris was there. So it's like I played with Zoe with the Mets.
Zoe was a lot of fun to play with.
Oh my God.
So
but like we go back.
Is so good.
Oh my God. Yeah. Jesus, every year that guy's throwing up numbers, no matter whether it's here in the States, it's Mexico.
Yeah, exactly.
That's, go back to, we were talking about earlier, it was like confidence.
Yeah.
And like that mental of a baseball. Like Zoe always had that.
Yeah.
That guy's always felt that he's on top of the fucking world, no matter where he plays.
Right,
and he is.
He always produces. So
yeah. And that's
talking about just like, man, listen, we're all in the same boat. My numbers speak for themselves. Your numbers speak for themselves. The guys that we talk about, Antonini, Alonso, Leverton, Dunnigan, Art, these guys, the numbers speak for themselves. It's just, sometimes the dream doesn't come true. Part of the dream comes true, right? Your dream of playing pro ball, that's unbelievable. Yeah. It's unbelievable to most, but our ultimate dream was to be on that field. But I mean, just like seeing guys like Dunnigan, man, his presence. He just stands out in the outfield like this during BP.
Massive.
I mean, you're just sitting here like, man, what a human, what a mind.
I mean, I played with Joe when we were in Sussex.
That's the closest I've ever seen like Terrell Owens. Like I'm just sitting here like, my God.
Here's what's crazier though is like because I got a chance to room with Joe when we were in Sussex, and I started trying to do things, and I got a little out of character because I was trying to do things with Joe. Joe would run after BP. He'd do his sprints, right?
Yeah.
He would that guy is fucking locked on his workouts nonstop. That's what he does.
Right.
He's like, oh, I'll do that too.
Which is what he's doing on Instagram now.
Well, yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Jesus, right? But it's so funny because there's another guy that Joe also knows, and Zach Penpraise. He played with him when he was in Fargo. When me and Zach linked up at Sports Academy doing training stuff back home because he's from this area, we had a mutual laugh on rooming with Dunnigan, because Joe, when he would work out, would be like, if you get into the weight room, you're like, Yeah. We hit the bike and we stretch out.
Yeah.
And fucking Joe is like on the bands, like, and you're just like, Jesus Christ. So like when I was rooming with Joe, and when I was rooming with Joe, it was like we were at the hotel and he's like, yo, you want to go work out, cuz? That's how Joe and started. I was like, yeah, all right, yeah, that's what we're doing. I'm like, I'm fucking big at the time. Like, I'm feeling fucking good. We go down there, he's fucking drenched in sweat. He's doing leaps. He's hopping up and down.
I'm working on my first set.
And I'm over here like fucking.
First set of 50s.
Yeah. But I'm coming off shoulder surgery. So I'm like TRXing and bands and I'm fucking like, all right. And I'm looking over and dude, it was just like, I felt like fucking nothing. And then I felt like, well, I'm just going to follow this guy's path. But I fucking couldn't.
Right.
But the funnier thing is he told me, because he went to Oklahoma, is how big.
With Adrian Peterson.
Right. This is where I'm getting into.
Yeah.
So he told me when he got to Oklahoma, maybe don't quote me, Joe, if I'm wrong on the story. But he told me when he got
Jason
there.
White?
Yeah, Jason White. Who else are we
I don't know who else.
Dunnigan.
I think Dunnigan played his freshman year.
Maybe this is that story, but the story he was saying is he saw Adrian Peterson in the weight room, and Joe's fucking a massive guy, even when you see him in high school. He said Adrian Peterson was holding dumbbells. I don't know what the pounds were, 60, 70, 80. He was just something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he was just fucking box jumping. Like a box jump is like as tall as us.
Yeah.
And he goes, I thought I was fucking strong.
Yeah.
You ain't seen nothing until you saw Adrian Peterson. He said he was leaping up, dumbbells in hand, just fucking skyrocketing.
That's unbelievable. I think Joe told me, or not told me that story, but he did tell me like how he was a beast in the weight room, Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, he said he'd never seen anything like it. And that's coming from a guy that from us, we've never seen anything like it.
Dude, when he was in Fargo came, American Association came to us for a series.
Yeah.
And we were playing Sunday day game. I had pitched already, so I was just kind of, that was the day off for me.
Yeah.
And the pitcher gave up a hit. This is like the first inning. Gave up a hit, and it was to Joe out and right. And Joe didn't charge it to throw the guy out at home. I think it was like the first inning. It was like no big deal. And by the way, it was a soft hit. The guy was scoring. There was no reason for Joe to come up firing and aggressive. Yeah. The pitcher, he threw a fit at Joe. Big time. And I remember being in the bullpen going, is that guy out of his mind? What on earth?
But not even like the fact of like, I guess, etiquette or like the unwritten rules.
Yeah.
Forget that. This guy looks like he's gonna just absolutely.
Why on earth would you ever challenge Joe?
Yeah, no.
Joe is like, for me, I felt untouchable when Joe was on my team.
Oh, same.
I'd be like,
same.
Joe.
And I was only with him for a few weeks.
Joe, get this motherfucker. Tell this motherfucker what's up, right? Like, you can say whatever you want because it's like, you're gonna have to answer to this guy. Yeah. So I can't imagine wanting.
It's the ego, man.
Man, I couldn't believe. Forget the etiquette. Forget showing him up. Do you know how big that guy would crack? Like he would stab me like a pencil.
Oh my God.
I'm just not sure what we're doing here.
Well, also, like, what are you doing? Because you've never had something happen to you on the mound, and
besides the fact, listen, it's the first inning. What?
Yeah, like
nothing, settle down.
Yeah, like settle the fuck down. But also, like, you're here now. You're not going out. You're not getting signed after today because you had a scoreless first inning. Exactly. Or because Joe Dunnigan threw a guy out at home plate and charged the ball. Right. Or even if he overthrew it and you said thanks for the effort and it made you throw a better second inning. You are what you are in that moment. Right. It's up to you to put up or shut up and put your skills up to the table. Right.
So, by the way, Joe hit one like over center field. So it was like,
which is a fucking Jesus.
So it's like,
so he hit like 28 homers that year too. So I mean,
it's another reason why you never do that, because it's like, listen, it's
gonna eat it out, man.
Plenty of game left. Yeah. But I could be remembering it incorrectly. All I do know is that the pitcher showed up Joe. Yeah. And the reason for showing him up was so obnoxious, so ridiculous. sometimes you wonder, like, I wonder why guys are in indie ball, like shit like that. It's like, bro, that's why you're here.
That's why you're here.
And you're going to be out of a job.
Well, that's the bad
Some
side.
guys, you're like, man, I don't understand why you're here.
Yeah.
Like, Art Charles put up Triple Crown numbers, and you're like, oh my God, what are you doing here?
100 games, 30 homers,
The size of you,
330,
why-
100 RBIs. I mean, Jesus.
Somebody
Christ.
couldn't find you a spot on a team? I'm confused.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, like, obviously, look, I take pride in where we played and what I've done. You know,
Sure,
anybody
absolutely.
I've played against, I give credit when credit's due. And there are some guys who have had opportunities where it hasn't worked out, and they come to the level that we're at and they dominate. I guess maybe in some people's eyes, it's no different from a guy who dominates AA or AAA and can't cut it in the bigs. But the independent baseball is such a huge self-reflection, because in affiliated ball, you're being told what to do constantly.
Yeah.
When to stretch, how to hit, how to go out and take BP. You got early work. Did you eat? You got post-game lift. Did you go?
Mandatory lift.
Mandatory lift. Did you get the gym bus?
Absolutely.
Did
you fill out your workout sheet?
Right, your workout sheet. Like, there's all this shit that you have to do.
Did you do your mental stuff?
Have you done right? And then Rover's in town, so you gotta do extra work.
Make sure you cut your hair, shave your
Jesus, hey, make sure you get back in there and go ahead and trim that up before you head back out on the field.
Independent baseball provides a platform for you to be the player that you want to be.
Yeah.
And it allows you to play baseball free. Not to be a cliche or independent. It allows you to be what you want to be. So you don't have to pull the, hey, listen, make sure you're out at 3:30 because we have wind sprints. And it's like, listen, make sure you get your running in. But make sure
wind sprints.
Yeah, make sure you get your running in. Like, listen. Make sure you're ready to play at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, hey, you
gotta do to play at 7 o'clock.
Get your wind sprints in with Pedro Stasio out on field 3.
We're gonna have the ladder.
Yeah, ladder drills on the gravel. Wait, the ladder drills on the gravel on the warning track.
Yeah, we're gonna sprint a full pole, walk a quarter pole, then sprint a 3/4 pole. And by the way, your game's at 7, and guys are like,
it's 99 degrees.
It's 99 degrees
humidity, depending on where you're playing.
Just get yourself ready to play at 7.
Yeah,
120 times.
That's it.
It's not once; it's 120 times. So that when you get back to affiliate, again, you can play their rules, but you kind of know the ins and outs of, hey, listen, this is what I know I need to do to get myself ready at 7.
Yeah.
Rather than go through the system where you're like, hey, Nick, we noticed you came in at 2:55. Is everything all right?
Right. And then they ask you if everything's all right. They're not really asking if everything's all right. It's a test. They're judging you because they're basically saying if you strike out again tonight on top of you not being here at the correct time,
right,
you're released, or you're on the phantom,
right.
So you'll get your paycheck, which again, you're getting paid to play baseball, but what's $311 to be on the phantom because you pissed off a coach who, if you mention that coach to the front office or at a big league game, let's be honest, they probably don't even know his name.
Right.
But that guy fills out your report.
Listen, that's what I think. One of my favorite things about Joe, our manager Joe. Listen, it's not like he stayed around and made sure he ate and had some beers with the guys and then wanted to talk game and then filled out reports. And Joe was out. Yeah. Game was over at 10 o'clock. Joe was in his car at 10:07.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think there's a lot to say about that. I think he could fucking bring on anybody on here and talk to who's played minor league baseball, pro baseball. And you got your stories of guys go, I fucking love that guy. And you're like, oh, why? Why do you love him? And some guys were like, oh, man, we drink and blah, blah, blah. And I can tell you, man, like that type of manager was not for me.
Right.
And you're right, Joe. Joe was that guy. No matter whatever goes on. Look, it's his team behind coaches' doors. They can talk about whatever the fuck they want to talk about.
Right.
That's their team.
Yeah.
Anytime that information starts to leak out into the clubhouse because you're drinking with the players, you're hanging out with the players, you're trying to bang the fucking girls that the players are hanging out with, or whatever the fucking case is with said manager, coaches, or whatever, Joe never crossed that line when we were in that clubhouse. Like
Right.
you said, Joe was in, Joe was out. Joe put up the lineup. He said, "This is the time I need you here.
But that's
I just need you here to be on time."
Correct. I think that's what I learned. I learned very quickly with him, and I was still relatively young in my career. Honestly, it had to do with the fact that I don't care what you do as long as at 7:00 you're ready to play.
Doesn't matter.
Obviously, he means that within reason. Although we got some stories, but either way, at 7:00 you punched in at 7:00. You punched out at 10:00. There's none of this you don't.
Well, it's a job.
You
right?
don't have to stick around till 10:45 with your buddies to make sure you ate the spread, to make sure that you hung out with the team. You didn't have to do that. If you want to do that, that's fine. But if you want to go home at 10:06,
you should be able to go home.
You should go home.
Yeah, and I never understood that. Like, look, man, I didn't drink, I didn't party when I was younger. Okay, and then later on in my career, I started to enjoy some adult beverages and going out and doing those things because look, you're at a different time in your life and at your not only in life, your career, everything, family, stuff that's going on at home, all that stuff. It's different. But when you're focused on a mission, you're going at that mission how you feel you need to go about it.
Yeah.
Whether that's you're working hard enough, where you're not working hard enough. But a lot of times you don't get understanding until you get into an environment that helps you feel confident in your abilities to be successful.
Yeah.
That clubhouse allowed that for me because of some like you. But that rubs off because look, we all have our experiences when we get out of affiliated baseball.
Yeah.
And most of the time, 98% of the fucking time, it's not a good one.
Yeah.
It's mostly bitter.
Yeah.
Everybody feels they're better than everybody else. And they don't realize when you get to indie ball, like you said, it is independent. If you want a second shot, well, then you better get out there and you better go earn it.
Yeah.
And earning it means, like you said, get here at 4:00 for BP and be ready by 7. And when you clock out, just like anybody else's fucking job.
Yeah.
You clock in, you clock out. Whatever you do after, I never felt that it was a need. I have to stay and I have to drink in the clubhouse and I have to do these things.
There's no rhyme or reason or formula to how guys get picked up. But trust me, the scouts aren't showing up at 4:00 to make sure Nick G or Puto is out doing some extra work, getting ground balls in so that he can get ready for 4:00 BP.
Right.
So listen, you're a professional. BP's at 4. Know what time you need to get there to make sure that you're ready by 4.
It's all individualized.
That's what I loved about it. That's what I think Indie Ball
really
provides that platform to be like, listen, if you're showing up at 4 and 20 other guys are already there, that's going to be an issue. Yeah. I'm not saying you have to be the first guy, but
you damn sure don't want to be the last fucking guy.
You don't want to be the last guy coming out with your helmet and bat, and everybody's already throwing, and they've gotten their running in.
I think more importantly, it's interesting because you call it professional baseball, and you get to the affiliated Mets, Rockies, however you call it professional baseball. But there's so many times where you still don't feel like you're a professional because you're being told what to do, how to do it, how to look doing it, where to go to do it.
Absolutely.
And how people don't, and you're stuck in your ways. You're stuck in the environment because you're stuck, again, it's job security. You don't want to get released. Neither does the coach. Coach doesn't want to get released. Neither does the front office.
Yeah.
Front office doesn't want to get released, just like the owner doesn't want. So everything relies from top to fucking bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get into an environment where you don't have to worry about that, look, I'm not trying to say you need to be released and go experience indie ball.
Oh, no.
But if you have an opportunity to experience because you were released, I just hope people end up in the right situation. And if they do, to figure things out for themselves and not just being like, I'm in my own box, don't listen to anybody. You get an opportunity to learn from your peers. Who are you learning?
Exactly, but there's no playbook for us.
There's no playbook for us. I know it, and that's what makes it so much fun.
Absolutely.
Fun.
Yeah. 100%.
You are playing a game and you're getting paid to do it.
Yeah.
You still can't have fun, which goes to our original thing. Having these players that we've named, got like Tim Adelman.
Yeah.
This guy got to the big leagues. He's played in Korea.
He was another guy that never took himself seriously.
Right.
We had a lot of fun together.
So. Right, and we had a lot of fun. And I know, look, he was big with doing the counted and a foul. He was one guy that helped me let out that stuff publicly to other people. Absolutely. That wasn't just you, like a bunch of people. I started sure. But that's what it really comes back to, man. Like it really, like again, that fun environment of like we've all connected. Like we mentioned Dunnigan and Zoe and Art. We've all connected because of Coming to America.
Yeah, absolutely.
We all love that movie. We talk about it all the time. We still send it to each other. We quote it. Like that is
timeless.
That still those type of conversations have nothing to do with when the game's over,
right?
And us being told you have to do it this way. You have to be on the bus. Yeah. You have a curfew. That was whatever the fuck we wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I didn't play with Art. I played against Art. I fucking talked to Art still in our group chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. That didn't have to do with being there later.
Right. Exactly.
Stay in the clubhouse to 11, talking about the game.
Right.
We can talk about that shit if we go out. We can talk about it when we're in the hotel room. We might talk about it running into each other at Chipotle before the fucking game.
Absolutely.
So I think you got a lot of opportunity to see that.
Well, it's all eyewash anyway, right? Because at the end of the day, like they already know who they're
for affiliate.
Yeah. They already know who their guys are that they plan on moving up.
Right.
So
and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, you can play with a first rounder and he hits 240 with 6 home runs, which by the way now gets you like 225 million. Back then was like,
but now the minors.
Back then it was like, oh man, but if you're a first rounder, well, you're just going to go to Double A, and you're just going to go to Triple A, and you're just going to go to the big leagues. It's like
or right, you're getting your
doesn't matter.
You're getting your food ticket. You're getting your ticket there. Hopefully you take advantage of it. Right. But I think more so than anything, I guess later on, now that we're not playing anymore, I really had an opportunity to learn the game more.
Right.
As it sits now to talk about it.
Yeah.
Look, I'm 35. I don't know if I would stayed in affiliate and never got released for maybe 7, 8 years. Like I say, I played 6, 7, 8 years instead of being released after 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Man, I don't think I would have gained the knowledge because I would have just been doing the same shit over and over, just trying to keep a job.
Well, think about it. You're coming up with 18 to 21-year-olds.
Who am I learning from?
Right.
Who are you learning from?
You're not learning from anybody. That's why when you have the opportunity, unfortunate opportunity, right? Because nobody wants to get released, but you had the unfortunate opportunity. You get to go to Sussex and you get to play with Lodenthal and Caleb Stewart. You're playing with these older guys who, have been around a little bit.
Juan Sanchez,
what I mean? So you've been around a bit, and then you come over here, and again, you're playing with older guys. So we've been through it a little bit longer than you have. So you get to develop as a player, and then if you get that opportunity to go back to affiliate, you're still back in the mindset of 24 to 25-year-olds.
Right.
They haven't experienced what you just experienced.
I know. I remember when I got signed by the White Sox, went to spring training. It was just odd.
Yeah.
I went into the clubhouse and I was like, let's do this.
You could almost feel that ego.
Oh God, it was bad. Everybody's on their iPads. I walked in, it's like, bro, it's funny. We're literally 7 inches away from our shit touching here.
Yeah.
I'm getting changed. You're getting changed. I'm one bend down and you're another bend down away. Pause. From fucking asses and balls and shit touching, right? And you're not going to acknowledge that I'm right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're on your iPad, your feet are up on the thing because your agent sent you the newest pair of fucking Nike fucking turfs to go walk to field 3. Give me a fucking break. But like it was cool to experience it, to come back into that environment because I saw so many guys who just didn't get it.
Yeah.
But it's not my place to tell them to get it. It's their place to experience it.
Yeah.
And it's up to them to figure that out. That's what I had to do.
Yeah.
And I learned from the experiences from guys like yourself. Like, look, dude, when I was with the Mets, I got along with older guys.
Yeah.
I don't remember really having a go-to friend with the Mets that was my age because I wasn't like a lot of the high school guys that were like me who got tons of money.
Yeah.
Or they weren't around anymore.
Right.
So like the guys I looked up to and got along with was the same shit we talked about at the start of this podcast. Nick Evans played in the big leagues with the Mets, had a great years in Korea and I think Japan. Seinfeld.
Got it.
That's
Murphy clicked.
That's how we clicked. Daniel Murphy. We were drafted in the same draft. And we'd see each other at instructs. We'd see each other at spring training. Me, Nick Evans, Daniel Murphy. we would go out we'd sit down in the cafeteria, we'd talk Seinfeld, we'd come up with fucking, hey, do you remember when George or Jerry or Kramer did this? We'd go out on the field, we'd go to our separate fields, do our thing, come back in, and we'd have trivia questions.
Too funny.
So is the reason why I was able to click with those guys. Like once those guys took off, like once Murph took off and Nick went ahead and did their thing, like, we lost conversation because their life's different. They're getting to the big leagues. Yeah. But and guys like Lucas Duda, same thing. We had those same, it all came from us just fucking around, dude. Yeah. Start joking around, you become friends, all of a sudden it's like, hey, let's go hit. Hey, let's go do this. None of it came from, yes, sir, no, sir, let's get out there. How do you put your batting gloves on? How do you tie your shoes? You ran really hard to field 3. That's cool. Come hit with me. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a great conversation, a great one here because it does come back to like, the fun of it, man. Like, and I think it's, I don't know how it is now.
Don't take yourself too seriously.
Exactly. It comes back. Don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, and have fun. Work hard, have fun.
And there's a time to do it, but then there's so many times that you can connect on things that literally have
John Huck's in a great situation because you've been through it. So if John Huck develops into that, listen, if he decides to go baseball,
that's my son.
You have
3.5.
You have that idea of what it takes in an environment. But who knows? What if he goes into basketball? You still know what it's like.
Well, right now he's got his motorbike.
Right, so he's into
fucking
motorbike.
Guy could be the next fucking Matt Hoffman.
Yeah, but you never know. Put a basketball in his hand, maybe he's gonna be the next Steph Curry.
Yeah, who knows?
Because by the way, but it wouldn't matter because again, you've been through a professional industry, a professional environment, so you would know. Like, listen, if he goes to the Warriors, you would definitely know that. Hey, they want you to shoot like this. They want you to dribble like this.
Sure.
This is the type of offense we're running now. This is how you're going to have to do it. And you're going to have to play by the rules, but you can't get lost in yourself. You got to learn how to have fun and don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah,
but you have to also learn how to play by the rules by showing up early, doing all
part of the game.
Right.
It's all about playing. It's all about understanding how to play that game, and it's tough now because it feels like when I see a lot of people out here that are, like mindset coaches, hitting coaches, pitching coaches. They get to spring training and they're doing mental focus. That's all great.
Yeah.
But that's somebody else trying to tell you how you operate.
Right, exactly.
When it should be, and there's not saying all these guys do that, but saying it should be, here are some tools that you can use.
Sure.
If you want to use these tools to operate to the best of your ability, there you go.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes to, like, everything is becoming so structured.
Yeah.
That I don't know. Like, I don't know, man. And I can't speak about it at the top level, but like you watch kids now, travel ball, youth ball, high school baseball, wherever you're at locally, and you watch it, you just see it constantly.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's just no rhyme or reason to what guys are doing anymore. So it's, I mean, I only bring those people up because it was like, to be honest with you, those are the bright spots of those times.
Sure, absolutely.
You know what I mean? I bring up the guys with the Jackals and the people I played with because, look, everywhere I went, there are people that had an impact on my career and my life, whether it was positive or negative. But as I got older, then it was like, oh, they looked to me to make like a players meeting.
Yeah.
Hey, fucking, you guys should have a players meeting. All right, let's speak amongst ourselves.
Yeah, players.
Those are great. Who's gonna lead it? Hey, Isaac, go ahead and lead it. Hey, Puto, go ahead and lead it. Hey, guys, we got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
does anybody else have anything to say?
Yeah, right.
You're like, no.
No. And then there's a guy that was a backup that gets up and is just Come on, guys, if we all put it together. Look, man, I would love to play. Yeah. I'm not that talented, but I work hard.
This is my last chance, guys.
Fucking Christ.
Some of you guys are not going to be here next year. It could be me.
Right.
This is our chance to get together.
Yeah.
and then they're like, oh, hey, by the way, you, coach wants to see you.
Yeah.
So,
right.
So there's that.
Hey, when are we going out later tonight?
Ooh. I tell you, I know I brought up the word, but man, did you watch that game? We watched that game tonight.
Yeah.
What a tough loss.
Yeah.
I mean, Nuggets.
Do you want to get into that now?
Yeah.
Or do you want to?
Yeah, whatever you want.
You want to do it now, or are we going to get into that one next?
You want to get into that one next?
Yeah, let's get into that one. Let's get into that one next.
All right, sounds good. Yeah,
let's hop into that one next. Let's get into basketball talk next. Last time we talked about the Lakers and we just fucking went off. And we did watch that game. And I want to talk about that.
All right, so let's get into that.
Yeah. So let's wrap this up here. It's a good hang.
Yeah, the Puto Pad podcast.
Puto Pad podcast. Out the fucking news today.
Seems my life
It's looking gonna change. Who's right under the sunlight? Welcome to this place. Can you take me higher?